Ladies and gentlemen, now let's get started with our last but not the least, our last session of the day, the Power Pack session, which is a fireside chat with Vikrant Varshney and Ramesh Loganathan. Moderating this discussion, we have Mr. Ravi Eswarapu, President TiE Vizag. His expertise and guidance will steer the conversation towards meaningful and actionable insights. Let's welcome Mr. Ravi with a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Ravi, sir. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed speakers to the dais. Put your hands together for Mr. Ramesh Loganathan, General Partner, Succeed Ventures. I take the pleasure to invite Mr. Vikrant Varshney, Managing Partner, Succeed Ventures. Welcome, sir. Mr. Ravi, the stage is all yours to take the discussion forward.
Thank you, Harshita. No, we are given half an hour, so we know that.
So 25 minutes, I'll be here.
Okay, you just give me a signal at 25th minute and we will lecture you run. Okay, thanks. Good evening. Thank you, Grant and Ramesh. Okay, I know we come to the last one. I think this is where the crowd is the ones who really want to be here. It's not for the lunch. So, so two people who have been there, seen it, done it all. So their expertise would really be very useful for people trying to make a career in the space of entrepreneurship in AI. So I think I will start off with your experience right through. You've seen AI from where it was to where it is, and then your investments and Succeed as an entity, and your take on what's your take, basically, whether your current investments and what's about the future based on your risk appetite for AI as a space to invest in across sectors. Yeah, one after the other.
So let me just touch upon what's happening out there in terms of innovative solutions. Murli gave a nice overview of what's happening globally and what is and what is not. Just drilling down a little bit, just looking at regionally what's happening, not even in the country. I mean, my familiarity is mostly with Hyderabad. I meet startups in Hyderabad. So, and also looking at what's happening in Triple like what's coming out of research. So, there are a lot of realistic, there's a lot of hype, of course. A lot of hype. Hype's always been there. Not too long ago, we have had all the top tier analyst firms tell us that Indian IT industry will lose half the jobs in 5 years by 2020, 2021. If anything, it's increased by 50%. Forget losing any job at all, it's increased by 50%. So, and there's similarly, like 4 or 5 years back it was AI, 2 or 3 years back it was Metaverse. We know a company that changed its name because of the Metaverse hype, right? And now nobody talks about Metaverse. So it's Gen AI is the flavor of the season. I'm sure something else will come a year later. But that said, you just cut through the froth. There's actual solutions coming out, right? We've had a startup come out in the badminton AI space where a camera looking at the game can generate insights, right? That a coach might tell the player at the end of the game. So it generates like whatever, just observing the game, like things like what was good in the game, what was not good in the game, which plays were good, footwork was good, backstroke, front stroke, whatever. I mean, I don't know the terms, badminton, but typically what a coach might tell the player, the system generates, right, at the end of the game. It can be an assistive tool that the coach uses, or in in the non-professional environment could just be a proxy coach for an amateur player. And Gopichan liked it so much, came in as a third co-founder for the startup. So that came out of research. We've had not all of Gen AI, but the broadly AI, not necessarily Gen AI. We have a solution that we built for Star Sports. If you see the player tracking system, the play field that comes at the bottom left, generally the screen comes at the bottom left, it shows where the players are on the field. That was built by our product lab, which creates startups out of research. And it was built by a professor for Star Sports, as a commissioned project. And based on that, now a startup has come up where a company that does the graphics for Star Sports has come in as an equity holder. Star Sports itself is coming as equity holder. And it's going to be a pure tech backend company. The professor says, I don't want to hire business co-founders, I don't want to do business development. So perfect. So they're just going to be building technology, and this other company is going to take it to the market. They're connected globally. So now they're looking at something on soccer for UK. That's the next technology they're going to build. That's coming out, and it's all hard. It needs understanding from research to build the solutions, right? I mean, it needs some of the latest and greatest happening in the research world, and understanding at least, if not your own work, and understanding of that to build this. We have a startup that's in the document AI space, which was, until ChatGPT came, they used to struggle to explain, and now they have it's both good and bad, right? They now say it's ChatGPT for enterprise documents, for enterprises and enterprise documents, and they are, but again, like, there are startups building existing frameworks for ChatGPT, and there are startups like this that are using other underlying open source models and also building their own models and building solutions for purpose specific. So they generate, we talked about co-pilots in the talk that Microsoft for Startups is working with many startups, and Microsoft itself. I mean, Satyananda delivered an address yesterday. He talked so much about co-pilots, which Microsoft is now pushing as a framework to generate co-pilots. So a lot of purpose specific co-pilots, which are more kind of realistic solutions. So this company is looking at building co-pilots for enterprise support using enterprise documents. Could be SOPs, could be product manuals, could be websites, could be support knowledge base, and such, and multimodal. It could be speech, it could be chat, it could be emails, and it could be just simple queries. And so some interesting things coming from them. We did a GenAI summit about 5-6 months back in Hyderabad, and we tried to locate the startups in Hyderabad that are in the GenAI space. We uncovered about 45 to 50 startups. Some of them are borderline GenAI, but at least 15-20 that are properly kind of, by any definition, will be GenAI. In the image space, video space, text, of course, a lot of it is in text, and data and such. And we kind of got 18 of them connected with about 15 large corporates, especially in the financial space. In that again, so we found in the video space there are some startups that are looking at. There's one that we met recently that's just starting, in fact, like a few months old, trying to look at how do you generate ads like for social media to get your traction, right? When you put those images out there, you want people to click through, right? And like, so they have some models that they built where they said like the click-through rate will be higher. So they just play around with the colors, they just built it using all the past, they got a database of images and then built the models. So you give it an image, it will suggest changes. You change the background, change to this color, kind of reduce the font a little, small changes, and it helps improve the click-through rate. A startup that recently, just in this current YC cohort that went in, it's in the lip sync space, that again came out of another professor's work. They're around 2 years old now, struggled for 2 years and finally kind of got a breakthrough. So then this year's YC, this current cohort, they started last month. And they're in the lip sync space. So generative AI for videos where, if you know dubbing movies, if you see dubbing movies, always the video will be out of sync. The sound will be properly re-recorded, but you can't re-record the video. They modify the video to synchronize the lips to the sound. It will almost look like the movie was shot again, and the person spoke in that language, in the new dubbed language. And that's where they started, but they're finding a lot of other use cases where you cannot take an image, static image, like you can just take my picture, static photo, and then make me say things. If I delivered a lecture, there's only the audio for the lecture. They can put a small window at the bottom where it has me actually speaking it. I never spoke, meaning not in video at least. From my voice, the video gets generated. From anybody's voice, the video can get generated. We are working now, PMOs asked, there's also a large project called Varshney, it's a national project on Indian languages. I'll just take this last example. And so the request has come, they want, when PM does his talks like Man Ki Baat, they want that talk available in PM's voice with lips in sync, available in like multiple Indian languages, almost instant. They're okay with a few seconds delay, 5-10 seconds delay. So almost instantaneously, they would like in near real time. We're working on it, not very easy. Translating the text, we might even get the text up front, because we know the script, they would know what he's talking about. But even otherwise, we can translate the text. We can also synthesize speech. But synthesizing speech in PM Modi's voice is a challenge. Once the speech is synthesized, synchronizing the lips also is easy. The technology already exists. So we worked on it. They want to see it. So anyway, long story short, there are a lot of very, very good technologies coming up, solutions being built. Yes, our market connect is weak. I mean, I don't think we have, while I always say Indians in Bay Area are building technology for the world, why can't Indians in India? We don't, for all kinds of reasons. But getting better, hopefully in the coming years, we will have some startups that stand out globally. So, thank you, Ravi.
Thank you. Yes, Vikrant, your Succeed perspective.
So Ramesh gave you a technology perspective. Most of my answers would still be from the lens of the fund, and I would not necessarily talk about technology because there has been more esteemed folks covering on the technology side. So I'll give you a perspective from the lens of what a VC organization might be looking purely to fund the investment journey of the startup. So I don't know how many of you are aware of Succeed by show of hand. Okay, so about 30% people in the room. That's okay. We are, by the way, number 5 VC fund as most active fund in India currently, and that has happened in last 2.5 years. If you've heard of names of Bloom Ventures, Matrix Partners, in most of the Inc. 42 report, you would find our company either coming above them or alongside them, right? And if they have built that brand for 10, 12 years, and we have been able to do that in last 3 years, that's directionally a good progress to make. Largely because we have been focusing on investing into deep tech startups, right? So in our portfolio, we have about 75 odd startups. 65 of them have been funded through the fund investment in last 3 years. Thankfully, zero NPA, which means most of these startups are sailing through, growing, doing well. We are sitting at a multiple of 4x, which means the company's valuations have gone up. We invest in 7 sectors per se. The 3 areas are EdTech, FinTech and Health Tech as core areas which almost every Indian would need. So every solution which would serve the 140 crore Indian population. Then there is a 4th layer which is layer of protectiveness, which is about security, cyber security, physical security, surveillance, privacy, anything in regulatory technology space. So solutions which are coming in that area. Then there is a layer of entertainment. Anything in media tech, sports tech, gaming and esports, or anything else in the new emerging technology which will make entertainment, engagement, social media behaviors. That would be our 5th layer. Then there is a layer of business which is cutting across all horizontal business lines, so horizontal SaaS. And the last one is digital economy, which is slightly over encompassing areas, right? So that would cover mobility, sustainability, prop tech, smart city solutions and any of them. So we could have covered e-commerce and agri-tech and defense and all of that, but we necessarily may not cover some of the good solutions. If there are opportunity-led, we could cover them in the digital economy space. I wanted to give you these flavors because we are pretty diverse for an early stage fund, but we created the fund because there are several funds which come at late stage to start supporting solution. There are very few funds which would take risk with the companies at the formative stage. That's why we work with about 47 incubators across India. So we operate from IIIT. So everything which Ramesh said, we have a pleasure of having the access to all that work. We don't work in the remaining 46 accelerators, incubators, but we at least work with them. So we are partner of choice with them. Most of the time, we would also take participation in the cohort. When they are picking up their cohort, we'll also be involved as a part of selection committee, investment committee. So we are thankfully bringing the commercial dimension, of what would a good startup look like when they are selecting in an incubator cohort. And that's one of the reasons why we also wanted to take a penetration in Vijayawada, in Visakhapatnam, and cities of Andhra Pradesh, because while there is a good work happening, some of these startups are not coming into the forefront. We heard the question saying, should I be here or should I be in main cities? You could still be here. Just start making some good noise about your work, right? That's the most important piece. If you are working from your office and not reaching to any of these events, and if you're not participating into incubator activities, if you're not showcasing your product at a national level. So your location of work does not matter, but your location of your startup being visible at the right places matter, right? If you're not participating into events, activities, if you're not exhibiting your product in the right forum, if you're not talking to the clients across India, then you might just be restricting yourself to a particular geography. And that's not market's problem. That's your operating style, right? So you might have to just expand your view. We are taking interest to reach out to your city. This is probably my 4th visit in last 12 months to Vizag. So that is our commitment to going to tier 2 cities and starting to interact with startups also, because that's how we are. About 32 portfolio investments that we have made have come from tier 2 cities. We have been in Indore, Jaipur, Jabalpur, Goa, Calicut, Trivandrum. So you name it, right? So north to south, we are all in all small cities also. So we don't shy away, and we don't shy away in picking up the companies, depending upon their cities. But you will have to have the hunger to grow at the same pace. That's the message in the end. So DeepTech solutions, Mr. Murli said, everything is flat, and with after pandemic, it is becoming flatter. We know companies are calling you back to your physical location. That's not the case with entrepreneurs. But somewhere we have again seen productivity is better when you work from home, but not in case of technology per se. When you're creating a good disruptive idea, in the end, it's solution which will speak. So if you're creating a good solution, selling it and working with the right partner, you will be noticed. But you just need to ensure you are creating right opportunities and exploiting.
Okay, thank you. That's wonderful. With the 100% success rate, hoping that it continues. We definitely need your help. Thanks for agreeing to do some masterclass for us, helping it us through to the investors and the startups. We sure would take your help on that, putting Vizag back there and where it's supposed to be. Going on, because operating from a very interesting story, IIIT Hyderabad, an academic institution, seeing a lot of research that's happening in an academic institution. With respect to AI and deep tech, whom do you think are the players, especially in the Indian market? Is it the students, profs, researchers, or is it professionals turned entrepreneurs? Who are these major players, and do you think India can make it big with the current set of players who are coming out?
I think what it needs, it's not any one of them that is going to make it, right? It needs, in some form, all of them to participate to be able to make it. Students is different. I always say, I'm a faculty. I teach, one of my courses is a venture building course. The end exam is the pitch to the investors, right? But I always say, serious startups won't come out of students. That's a bonus when it happens, right? And I won't encourage, it's okay. Like our incubator is one of the larger academic incubators in the country and one of the oldest ones. And while students are most welcome, we are not focused on students. Our incubator is focused on startups that can work with our research. We're a research university primarily. So that's our primary interest. Any startup that can work with the research is most welcome to come to the incubator. And that's our primary focus, all our programs and such. Students is a bonus. When it happens, it happens. So students is not a major factor in this, right? Researchers maybe, right? Especially in areas like AI and such. Lot of the techniques and such are still very actively in research. If you want to do something in language, yes, you can take some open source frameworks or things like ChatGPT and start to do things with it. But when you start to because generic tools will not work for specific purpose. They will always be, and that's where you need the latest from thinking and understanding of research to come into play. Right now, maybe 5 years later it will change. There are not enough ready to use tools, frameworks, libraries, and APIs available yet, right? And so some of the solutions, if research is involved, is where you will get the right technology. But research cannot create market products. Research can create research and often cannot even create technologies or products, and definitely not market products. So that's why you need somebody from the industry with a market perspective also to be a part of the process. And so it needs a combination, and that is very weak today, very, very weak, right? Academic incubators create startups, but rarely is the market connect strong. And those that from the industry also, that are, if you look at the founders, bulk of them would be coming from the tech industry. Their market perspective also is weak, right? The engineering perspective is strong. Like if somebody tells build this, they can go define, design, and build it. But the understanding of market to define what to build is very weak. And so it's not easy, but we need these three players to come in. The engineering, research, and the market perspective. All three need to come in for us to be able to create those products that can be global in nature. Very hard. It happens in some pockets that very few companies are globally successful. There will be unicorns today, right? That's because our market is huge. Nothing wrong, any innovation is good, nothing wrong with that. But technology for the world, still there's very, very few. I used to work for Pramati. I still believe 25 years on, there's still no company that's come close to Pramati in being noticed for its technology globally, though Pramati was not a commercial success. We can do it. We just need these things to get tightened stronger for it to happen.
Thanks, Ramesh. Vikrant.
But I'd have just a perspective to that question. So most of these startups which will come from a research-based incubation environment or coming from early incubator, if you are an investor sitting close to that ecosystem, your alpha would be the highest.
That's a good observation.
Right?
That's
You would
very
pick them up in $1 million, $2 million valuation. Your first investment would happen there. By the time they would raise 2 to 3 fundings, you would still be touching 40, 45 million valuation. If you are an early stage investor, you would have created a 30x alpha, right? Which does not happen when you enter late stage. So if they are working on cutting edge technology and creating a good solution, and if a VC is spotting them timely, then the VC is happy as well as the founder.
Any numbers to support from IIIT Hyderabad that you have done as Succeed?
We have got several investments. So interestingly, when we created the first fund with IIIT Hyderabad, it was called IIIT Hyderabad Seed Fund. We made 10 investments in them, right? And that was just a pilot we were running. We were not sure. Ramesh brought some of us together to create the fund. And that we made 6 investments. We made 10 investments and 6 of them gave us an exit in 2.5 years. The exits were 8x, 22x, 31x, and that's where we started to validate that an early stage category, picking up from good quality institute which has right research layers, good quality prof, a good infra, would give you, bound to give you good return, right? IIT Madras, a research and innovation park, brags on their early stage investment and the money which they have put in. You speak to Professor Jhunjhunwala, it's getting recorded, but he talks about the startup valuation of their portfolio. His last valuation he's quoted is 40,000 crores. I personally feel the one before that he spoke was more meaningful, was 8,000 crore. But you pick up even the 8,000 crore number, right? That's based on the number of the equity which they have taken just for incubation support, right? Or a bit of capital that they would infuse. It's a humongous value. IIIT otherwise can't, or IITs and IIITs can't encash that kind of value through any other activity. So if you are involved with the right ecosystem, that's the value ecosystem would collectively create.
Okay, you're creating a
Just
trend.
to add to that, like an early stage fund, we need more early stage funds. Like when for all our accelerator, we do co-investment. Succeed does for DeepTech, we work with the other for MedTech. And the value that a Succeed fund can bring to an early stage startup, some of the perspective of selling that is missing, market, business focus. Even if the team doesn't have it, the fund can ask the right questions and force them to think about it and figure out ways of doing it. And so it brings that very, very serious enablement, that the business market focus dimension is brought in strongly through early stage VCs, not angels.
Right.
Angels, you get lucky sometimes.
Right.
It needs to be a formal fund.
Great. There's a great thing, a new model. Probably somebody looking at the success of Succeed would start getting into the academic incubators like the IITs and IIITs and start. And
Succeed itself will be there.
I would say work with Succeed.
yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, I think a lot of founders out here are probably looking at the criteria. Basically, I heard you 1-4-16 model, very interesting. Do you get in early? A little bit of revenue growth, or what stage do you get in, and your model of investment criteria, especially for selection of a startup?
So most of the time when you ask a VCs, they will give you 8-9 criteria, right? They would talk about PMF established, pedigree of founders, how much revenue generation, who are you serving, large enough TAM. They will give you 8 or 9 of those parameters. Sometimes those parameters would be similar, few of them might change. Everybody will say, will you bet on jockey or would you bet on this and that? So I'm not going to give you those answers. You would have heard some of them. Most of us would also have similar parameters to at least shortlist a company, right? But at the end, if you are an early stage investor, you have not seen the execution capability of the founder. You don't know whether the guy is able to take this in the market and still create a large enterprise out of it, right? And that's where anything that I would take a punt on would still be subject to my assessment of the guy on the table on a given day. And we are bound to fail because we do commit mistakes when we make those calls, right? So we identified that our best approach would be to create 1-4-16. We come with first unit of check saying, okay, take this, go and execute this in the market, create an MVP, go to your client. If you are getting an initial interest, if you get a letter of intent from a client, if you start to get your few early revenues, this is where you validated that this is working. Your product is accepted, there is a commercial acceptance of your product, and then you require more capital for growth of your early MVP. That's where you come back to us, we'll give you 4x of what we gave you earlier. And at that point in time, we would also ask you to go and get some more money from the market. So it's not only our money, there has to be additional capital. Some of it could come through our friends. So we will introduce more venture capital from our network and saying go to X, Y, Z fund houses, or sometime we would organize a showcase for them where we will call probably 40 fund houses in our showcase and saying look at our portfolio company. So in that round, which is a growth round, we don't do the second round of valuation for them because it is our portfolio company. If I will do a valuation, that would be a conflict of interest. So market also establishes the right valuation for the company. The company is doing well, they get 4 times capital from us as well as from others. And again, they use that capital to grow. And if they are growing further and there is a larger volume, revenue, larger activities happening, this is where they go for a pre-series A or a bridge round, where they would be raising, let's say, anywhere between $3 to $5 million. Again, we will give 16 times of the unit of what we gave earlier, right? So a good performing company will end up getting 21 times of the initial capital that they had received. We might stop on the way with few companies because not everybody would execute, not everybody would perform. So I'm managing my risk by looking at their performance. But a good guy continues to get those 21x, right? That's the pyramid that you would have seen. In our case, the pyramid is there. For number of companies will keep reducing, but number of, the volume of capital would keep on increasing significantly. So 90% of my capital is going into productive, positive yield. So my fund is actually performing every time in a positive, situation. It's not going to, to those companies which are not performing well. So I don't shy away in taking risk at the early stage, but we keep on building on the, you would have heard the word double down. In our case, it's actually 4 times at every round. So we are okay, and that's why our fund currently is at a 4x multiple based in last 3 years of investment, collectively at a portfolio level. Generally, you will see a fund in 7 years would reach to about 5x to 7x multiple if they are in early stage. We are already at 4x in 3 years' time, so which means directionally we are on the right track.
Excellent. Okay. I know I'm a little bit being biased, you coming from an academic institution. Talent and a learning workforce, I think, is very critical for this space. Do you think it's adequately available in India, or its people are learning on the move?
I mean,
struggling.
5 people or like a Google or Amazon with like 10,000 people. Everybody has the same story, right? You struggle to find, I don't think anybody says it's easy to find good talent, right? It just that the good is relative, but whatever talent anybody is looking for, it's never going to be easy. And startup is a little harder, but if you look at all the good startups, right? It's not like they go to the market and hire. They can't hire. The first 5, 10 people, 20, 30 even, they're probably not going to the market and hiring. Either they're hiring through the network, personal network of the founders or the founding team, or freshers. And that too in few places. They won't, that if you look at freshers also, they would go to maybe their alma mater or somewhere where they have a strong connect. It won't be just anywhere. And so you have to get creative. I think it's as much a founders, how do you sell a vision to them to come? First thing, they may not be paying as much as market might pay. Right, on top of it, the risk. Even if they're paying well, the risk is still, which means you can convince them only on the kind of your conviction and your plans, right? And so like they always say, when you do a pitch deck, you're not pitching just to investors. The same pitch, same value proposition applies to customers, same value proposition applies to kind of people you hire, to anybody. But they're coming in only because they think you can crack whatever you're going after. And that should come across very clearly. So it is available, won't be easy to find. And you have to groom. If you say like ready skills, like they, even in Bangalore, different in Bay Area, if you're putting a startup team together, you can find being there, done that initial team. Right? Once, like even the founding team, 3, 4 people coming together, somebody would have been a CEO kind of type person somewhere, somebody would have been a very strong tech person, somebody would have a very, very good market perspective, right? And like, so you get 3, 4 people coming together with the right experience, probably with startups. Because there are plenty of them in Bay Area. In your first order network, you will find people. There's a little bit of it in Bangalore, not so much in Hyderabad. But in India, you have to get creative. In Bay Area, and when you have money to hire, you can hire the right people. You're willing to pay, you can find. You want somebody who's done like kind of marketing in an enterprise SaaS, you can find just that person. But there are enough of them. Because Bay Area is filled with people that at different points work in startups. You don't get them. So you have to, so companies have to get little creative, startups have to be little creative in terms of that they have to use their advisors and mentors to supplement and groom people. You have to get creative. You have to use every resource available. And advisors are resources. Even if they give only a couple of hours a week, if they're effectively utilized, they can in many ways offset some of the skills and capabilities that they won't have in the team. But yeah. So.
All right. Okay. Last one. Just a quick.
And then maybe one or two questions from the audience.
Yes. Yes. Okay. AI, is it lot buzz and less reality? Next 5 years for India, and Succeed's commitment towards TiE Vizag. Wanted your quick perspective, both of you.
We can talk about Succeed's commitment. I'll just take a quick 2 minutes on the buzz itself. Like I said, even some time back, there is a lot of hype. Like I said, right? But
next 5 years, what's going to happen?
Next 5 years, the hype will come down.
Okay.
Like any other hype.
Reality checks.
The hype will come down, the reality will remain. Reality is good, just that the hype is kind of huge. I mean, like, I've had people that are very solid head on the shoulder, kind of very good perspective on markets and technology tell me like ChatGPT based solutions will replace complete customer support. And I don't believe it. Right? When I'm okay if people say this, I'm okay if Gartner says this, because they keep changing with the wind. But these are people I know very well that are very, very strong techies, built good startups in recent past. And when they say it worries me. And I don't give them any benefit of doubt in this case. In a year's time, 2 years' time, they will come back saying it didn't work out. Because state of the technology, I mean, it's fairly clear. So it's like Google, for all its prowess in enterprise search, in internet search, couldn't click in the enterprise search. So ChatGPT is based on internet knowledge, will not work in enterprise scale, period. It's a question of time before it's proven. So, and you have to start building custom solutions and so all this will come down. So which means there'll be point solutions coming out, there's good value in it, there's high value use cases, but it won't be this be all done kind of, end all type things like it'll replace customer support, will replace, people are saying like I don't need designers anymore. I don't think any designer I know has lost their job yet, even reduced job yet. And it's fun to go and generate some kind of fun posters, but realistically I can't get it done. I have to eventually go to designer to get it done. So, whether it is a writer or a designer or programmer, I mean, there are people that tried 6 months back. Today, nobody talks about it, thankfully. 6 months back, there's so many people that were saying, I can have, seriously, founders and tech leaders telling, I want to see how can I go write code myself, with ChatGPT, without needing, or any other co-pilots. I think nobody talks about it. It's already, nobody talks about now using this to generate code, because it's clear it won't work. You can't work with somebody else's code in a development team. If you inherit code, they say it's easier to rewrite than try to. And what are the odds that system will generate code that is production ready? If you have to rewrite, it's fast, much cheaper to rewrite than try to fix that code. So there will be point use cases which will solve point problems. That will happen realistically. Happening today, more of it will happen. ChatGPT hype will die. I'm hoping within the next 6 months.
Same thing. Okay, Succeeds.
The hype will die. It is not a $20 billion business, for sure. Their value also will come down to reflect the fall in hype.
So I'll give a slightly different perspective. Not contradictory, but different. So when we invested into DeepTech company, AI was also one of the category. But there was elements of computer vision, NLP, ML were areas, computer vision, blockchain, few deep sciences solution. Collectively, all of that was deep tech for us, right? AI was one of it. Now, even today, if you see, AI has also overtaken by generative AI, right? And people understand generative AI much more. So I think the last 1 year's hype has increased awareness in the ecosystem about what generative AI can do, and obviously everybody just thinks generative AI is the overall AI. But thankfully, that increased acceptance would make people creative also on generative AI side. What Ramesh was also highlighting is that experts would start to use those solutions more to become more creative. Some of the solutions might be more pointed, better. But it's not that generative AI would replace something, or would generative AI is the only answer of life. But what he was highlighting is that ChatGPT is also becoming threat to the normal search engine, right? So there would be few areas which would emerge, which will bring new dimension. And that happens in technology every 2-3 years block. This one is obviously much steeper. So as they say in the startup parlance, this is the J-curve growth. So that J-curve growth have come in the AI space in last 2 years as compared to what we were seeing in 30-40 years. So the chart is getting tapered up very soon. So a lot more solutions could evolve. He gave in the opening remark lot many interesting solutions which were coming up in last 4 or 5 years. And they took that time to reach here. But with generative AI, people could actually create some of those solutions faster instead of taking 5 years to create it. So it would definitely create some impact. But is the only way of living life? Answer is no. Now coming back to your commitment question on Vizag, I wanted to reiterate. Vizag need to just, and this is expected for Hyderabad also, the scale is slightly different, Vizag. But most of the tier 2 syndrome in India, people just think of solution initially for their city. It's okay. I think that's how you start, right? You work with your ecosystem player and stakeholders and look for a solution. The only issue is when you don't expand the solution quick enough from making a city-based solution to a regional solution to a national solution. The guys who start from Bangalore think of national solution from day one. Whereas people who start from tier 2 cities always think of creating a solution for their neighborhood, right? So scaling is never in their mind in terms of how I would create a national solution around it. Leave aside global solution. I would suggest that whenever entrepreneurs could start to think of creating solution for India from day one, and then potentially also looking at making it a global solution, that would be a good shift in gears. That will take some time. I think exposure, interaction, forums like these, where more folks come and talk to the guys. We use these meetings also to create good connects and do a follow-up. That would be a good idea. We had created an interesting sub-fund concept where we got a cluster of people who were working on incubation, guys who were mentors in the area. So let's say an example of gaming sub-fund we created with these STPI Image COE, which is specializing in gaming animation and activities. Then we work with a body called Twaga, which is a Telangana Virtual Animation and Gaming Association. And we got guys who wanted to only put in money in the gaming startups. And the trio, we said, okay, we'll create a gaming sub-fund. Similarly, we did with MediaTech sub-fund, where MediaTech guys, Triple IT incubation, businesses which are running. So Telugu film industry was all in Hyderabad, so that guys came together. 3 or 4 large names which I don't want to take here. They're all participating into it. And then people who wanted to put in money in gaming. Coming to the Vizag story, we similarly work with AMTZ to try and see if we could work on the medtech side and health tech solution, and similarly create a sub-funds which is focusing primarily on health tech innovation and supporting activities. So we are taking the route of creating sub-funds and getting a cluster of incubators, mentors, and people who want to put in money only in that sector, so that a more focused development can happen in that area, and that cluster also opens doors in the market for those companies to grow, right? So that's on the startup side. Obviously, it will take some time to fly. On the investor side, we also feel when the investors, circuit gets bigger in the city, many startups start to get the initial funding from the people and support, right? A lot of mentoring. And that's why we are looking forward to have master classes with the guys. A lot of good wealth exists in the Andhra guys, in Andhra Pradesh and Andhra guys outside India. And if we could start to create that, to create some initial boost for folks and startups and activities which are happening, that would be a good thing to create some buzz here. So we look forward to work with most of you guys, all the industry bodies and local players and local businesses. And if we could create, let's say, Andhra Angels or Vizag Angels or any of that, and go through a fund route to make an investment, that would be a good institutional boost to the startups, right? They don't need money from angels, right? If 20 angels come on the cap table and they start to interfere in the operation, that may not necessarily be a easier growth story for founder. But if they get support from a large VC firm, it will get not just the initial capital, but also an exposure for the guy to go grow. That would be a good idea. So we are committed to do that. If we find local partners who are ready to work with us, we'll be happy.
Sure, we'll do that. We would love to. Yes, open for questions from two. Yaps.
I am Amrita I'm studying BTech third year from Kakinada Institute of Engineering and Technology. So I have listened, you have given so many suggestions to founders and all. So as a student, my concern is what students should build, like what they have to do to build a strong foundation if they are interested in startups. Like you have mentioned the investors and the portfolio, they have a strong foundation and the students have the engineering basic is strong. So I would like to ask you what are the suggestions that you would like to give to the students especially who are interested in startups to balance both marketing and their academics as well.
Okay, just start to build. Nothing stopping you from building it. Forget it's going to be a startup, it's going to become successful or not. In second year, third year, start to build something. Okay. Right? You have my contacts, your faculty know me very well. So build something in 2 weeks and send me the screenshots.
Yeah.
Challenge,
sure.
up for the challenge?
Yes, sir.
You do that in 2 weeks and send it to me. I'll give you a journey in the next 12 months what to do.
Okay,
one
sir.
by one. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just you. You don't have to feel because you're from Kakinada. One of our students, undergrad students, triple undergrad students are very good. He came to me instantly, just right now, 2-3 weeks back. And he said, can you connect me? I want to intern in the startups. An undergrad student from Triple IT telling I'm worried about jobs. I want to intern in a startup. So I let his job worry aside. I said why do you want to intern in the startup? So it was good on my resume. I said have you thought of doing your own startup? That look even better on your resume. He said, I don't have any idea. I said, you start building something. Then he said what? I said, can you give me 2 weeks? Every day you have to meet me or connect with me at least twice. And 2 weeks, I'll show you what you can do. And he started doing something. Right now he is building, there's something called supermeme.ai. It's a startup in the US doing well. He is now mimicking it in 2 weeks. It's now 10 days since he started. So I told him by early next week, he already sent me the screenshots. Starting from nothing, he said, I don't know what to do. And then and in a week's time, he started doing something about generative AI using some open source library to generate images. Then I gave him the link. I said, can you build this? He said, okay, he's trying to build it. So you start building something, there's a starting point. Don't worry about what you need for a startup. If you can't build, there is no startup.
Yeah.
Right? If you can build, then you can find other skills. But if you can't build, you can be the best in the market and business and such, but doesn't mean anything. It's a multiplier by zero effect if you can't build. Start with building.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And that will also give you an exposure of how innovation could start to play a role, right? A lot of, when we conduct few workshops and we ask people saying, do you see problem statement around you? Most of the time people might have views of the problem statement, but when you have to look for a solution, they don't look at those problem statements. If you start to look at problem statement around you and start to magnify and saying, is this an India-wide problem? And is there a solution possible around those things? Right? So this is where a 10-day, 15-day focused activity, start making a list of all the problem statement that you see around you. And if technology could be a solution around it, can you look for those technology solution? Most of the engineering colleges kids actually, if you go in the 3rd year, 4th year, come back with very similar solution because they just keep looking at same reports which are published on internet. Right? That could be also an enabler for you to say, ये solution तो बन गया, can I create something new? Right?
Yes, sir.
But if you have started with problem statement list, that laundry list will start to help you which one I can tackle.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, there's so many hands up. So, I know. One last question. I think, who was earlier? Oh, okay. 1, 2. Okay. Okay. He was the smart one.
Good evening. Hello. Yeah. Good evening, sir. Yeah. As I said before, I am purely tech pioneer compared to 16 to 17 years of experience in technical, and I don't have the market knowledge, to be frank. I'm very pure in the marketing. Just I want to learn the things in the marketing. So what type of suggestions you can give for a tech pioneer?
Find a co-founder.
Simple. Find a co-founder who has got that.
That is a very simple question.
Have 2 or 3 co-founders.
Okay. Proper last one because I think we will.
Yeah. So basically I'm from a HR background. I'm a HR turned entrepreneur. So I currently focus on helping engineering students, helping first year undergraduates transition from a job seeker mindset to job creator, which I do in the college itself. And I connected through Appshi and I'm getting access for the college institutions where I'm creating a very good value chain. So the question for me is, me only doing in the college is one part of the thing. But there is other thing which I need to take care of. I need to create that culture or the ecosystem where his surrounding should be also have that kind of like-minded people. So parents, faculty, a lot of things are there. So under this, there is something I need to build is a production house which is for which is a cost effective, like the equipment, the team need to have a lot of things.
Okay,
So my question is, funding, instead of funding, how about a kind of mutual understanding from a VCs or angel investors, anything without that stake kind of a thing? Can we invent something new in the space of investments where the founders and the investor will travel for 3 months or 6 months? Only the operation cost is paid.
Let me. I'm from academics, right? Been involved with many academic institutions. I'm full-time faculty in one. I will not let VCs come anywhere near students in VC's interest. Okay, because they're not investable ideas, right? Let academic incubators and such deal with it, because like if 20 ideas come and they spend 6 months, maybe 1 or 2 get to a point where it's more serious. So it's a waste of VC's time at that stage. There are much simpler solution. The likes of DST and like MIT and DBT and all of them are supporting academic incubators for that reason only, right? Now, if you're in a smaller town, you should figure out how to partner with one of the larger academic incubators as a downstream. VCs have no role in that process. It's a waste of VC's time.
I'm talking about myself. I was an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur.
No, I'm talking about your thing in colleges.
Sure.
Yeah. For you as an entrepreneur, you come to an incubator. I mean,
we're
your
already
customers are on colleges, and for colleges, VCs have no role because it's a waste of their time. You should work with other incubators, a network of incubators already. You just work with some incubator in your region or like somebody else, and like most welcome to come check with me. But yeah, not go to a VC.
Sure.
And there are sufficient grants available now, right? What you highlighted, there are BIREC grant, there is DST grant, MIT grant, Startup Seed Fund Capital. So those funds are also available for early stage, activities to be funded, right? So if you are part of an incubator, those are available as a part of the program. And VCs investing without equity taking is actually a bad starting point, right?
Completely agree. So any other solutions can be built or not is a question. Maybe down the line we'll figure it out.
Okay. Thanks Ramesh. Thanks Vikrant. I don't know. Did you see that? I don't know. Somehow it looks like that, right? So wish you would become one for India. Oh, it's not only me. Okay, good. No, it's done. You can talk to them offline.
So people that don't know Elon Musk, let me tell you a secret. Elon Musk is the Gen AI version of Vikrant.
That's a good one. Okay, thank you all your session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ravi.
As we conclude this engaging fireside chat with Vikrant Varshney and Ramesh Loganathan, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to our speakers and moderator for sharing their valuable insights and experiences with us. Here, thank you so much, Mr. Ravi Chandra, Delivery Head, Tech Mahindra. Mr. Ramesh, please accept our token of appreciation. Mr. Vikrant. And Mr. Ravi. Let's have a group photograph, please, gentlemen.